Wes Schroeder, Olentangy Orange Pioneers, joining us going into week 8, undefeated 7-0 on the year. And I always appreciate your time, coach. And you're going up against the Upper Arlington Golden Bears this week. And before we dive into that game, I just want to talk about your team's play to this point, because there hasn't been a game all season where you've scored under 30 points. You're averaging 39, almost 40 points per game. The defense maybe is even more impressive, allowing teams under 10 points per game defensively. I think it's 8 points a game, and you've played some great teams like Olentangy's and Gahanna's that have great offenses. What has gone into the tremendous play on both sides of the football?
I mean, good players. We have really good players, and they're playing really hard. And our defense's numbers, like Davidson punched one in on at the end of the game, and Coffman punched one in at the end of the game. I think we've given up 3 first half touchdowns, or touchdowns that were when the game was not a 30-point deficit or whatever. So our numbers
Sure.
are defensively are probably a little better than what it shows, but I say those, because I had to mention that because those guys get frustrated when I pull them, and other teams don't sub, and they coach their team, we'll coach ours. So I don't care that they keep their starters in late in the game, but our kids get frustrated with it. So I want to make sure I tell them, I'll give them a shout out when we talk about their numbers, because they want the shutouts, and we just want we want to get reps and get kids on the field and move on. But yeah, so. I think ultimately it's just good players playing really hard and playing selfless and playing together, and it's just a connected group of guys.
But you have great players, but you're also a great coach. You got to give yourself some credit here.
Yeah, we try, and I got a really good staff. So I got a lot of really good guys around me and around this program who, I think we do a pretty decent job of putting kids in position to make plays. And I think it happened at Granville. We went to the Final Four, and even at Allen East when we were 9-1. Everybody talked about the talent, which rightfully so. We're very talented, and it almost feels like some people try to say, you're really talented, like it's an insult to us, like as coaches, like anybody could coach it. But I think that we take it as a compliment, because we're putting people that we care about in position to showcase their talents. We are talented. There's no secret. We do have really good players and really good people. But I do think our coaches do a good job of putting the guys in position to, not complicate it, and let the guys, play to the best of their ability, and try to put them in the positions where they can showcase what they can do.
Well, I know I've asked you a million questions over the last couple of years about Levi Davis, and we know he's got all the talent in the world. He can run, he can throw, he makes all the throws, makes all the right decisions 99% of the time. But something I read, I think it was a couple weeks ago, he did an interview with, I think, the Dispatch or something like that. And I think this just showcases the type of character that he possesses, because I think the question was in reference to, their state championship in basketball and whatnot. But regardless of the sport, whether or not people view us as the best team, it doesn't matter. We've got it. There's always things on film that we can correct, and we can always be a better version of ourselves outside of his talent and what he does on the field. Does that make him does that separate him from other great players in the state of Ohio? Is the intangibles of knowing, hey, we might be great, but we can be even better than we are?
Yeah, I think anytime people ask me about Levi, I talk about the quality of human being he is. I'd never stop saying it, because I don't ever want that to get lost in his talent, because his talent is special, and you can watch a game and see how explosive and all the stuff that he is. But I think as a coach, I think what you look for when you're, in the players you want, you want competitive, selfless, hardworking, and he embodies all that. He just happens to be super talented, like I can't understate it, is we have a lot of very likable kids on our team who want to do things that's best for the team. And it's not always the case, when you have a team with some talent, like a lot of times they're trying to get their own or do this or do that. And ultimately that's not us. And it all starts with him. He's the leader on the field. Right, wrong, whatever, that's the quarterback kind of gets that. And especially when you're a quarterback of his caliber, and it starts with the way he handles himself. And, we think obviously we're not done with him for a while, hopefully. But we hope he has a lasting impact in the way he's carried himself, and the way he's led at practice, and the way he's led the underclassmen, and he's always trying to coach and always trying to do what's best. And he's just one of the guys who his, we can get on him like we would get on, a fourth string, whatever. Like it's special and it's not common, and that's why he is who he is and wins at everything he does.
Yeah. Now I know last year you had a very talented running back in
Mm.
Cohen Weaver, and he put up numbers all season long. But another guy that's just as talented and maybe even more explosive in Lucas Fickel. And just looking at the last couple weeks in particular, against Davidson, he had 185 yards and 3 touchdowns. Against Coffman last week, 139 yards, 3 touchdowns. Talk about the job he's done to just provide that explosive element to your offense that I guess gives Levi just a little bit more balance to work with offensively, and it gives you more balance too.
Yeah, he's we love when he runs as hard as he does. His vision has been a work in progress, and it's in the spot where he's seeing things and he's hitting things, and yeah, he's 215 pounds, and he's an
God,
11 flat 100 kid. So he's put on, as a sophomore he was like an 11 600, and or sorry, yeah, and then junior year track, he was 11 flat, and he was 195. He's put on 15, 20 pounds since last year. We were watching our UA game when he was in there a little bit. It just looks like a different player, and he just keeps getting better. And I think what people don't realize is he just turned 17 in August, so he
goodness.
really can be a junior. He's when he gets on a college campus next year, he'll be 17. So he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And he's another one. He's just like Levi. He's more quiet than Levi, but um, he's gonna do what's best for the team, and he doesn't care. He's gonna run hard. He's gonna take hard coaching, and he's a tough football player, and he's a great kid, and we love having him.
215 pounds and 11 flat speed. Good luck tackling that when you meet him in the hole.
Yeah, he runs hard, and he keeps we yeah he's we like getting the ball. It's and our offensive line does a really good job. So it's a great backfield. So
Yeah. Now, with UA coming up, obviously you played them twice last year. You got the better of them in the regular season matchup in week 8, 28-20, and then in the playoffs in round 2, lost 24-20. I think Levi might have thrown an interception late in that game that kind of swayed the game in UA's favor, but Justin Buttermore's defense it's one of the best in the state schematically. He just does such a tremendous job of taking things away from teams that, score a lot of points and whatnot. And you're an outstanding offense. Is there anything that you learned from either of last year's two matchups, against Buttermore's defense that you can kind of take and apply to this year? I know the teams are a little bit different, but Buttermore is a schematic genius when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. What have you kind of seen on film as you prepare?
yeah, no, it's we know what they do, and yeah, I know Justin fairly well through the coaching aspect of it, and yeah, these kind of guys, you just got to kind of take what they give you, and you just can't force things and put things in bad situations because they'll make you pay. In the last 2 seasons, they've given up 20 points 3 times, and it was us twice last year, and then Liberty in the regular season last year. So they don't give up many points, and then they gave up. In his tenure there, I think they get up 30 once or twice, and so like they don't give up points, and they're not easy to score on. But it comes down to taking care of the football, and they're going to do some trap coverages and try to confuse our eyes and do different things like that, which is what he's done, and it's why he's so successful. It's yeah. So I don't think there's anything specifically, and I'm sure they'll give us a few wrinkles. They changed a little bit from a regular season matchup to the postseason matchup with a different look, different fronts and different coverages and stuff like that. But it's not just schematically. I think it's the way he gets his kids to play hard and believe in what they're doing. So, they play with a lot of confidence. They play really fast because they know what they're doing. A lot of people have good schemes, but I think his scheme and what he does is very good. But his kids buy into what he's doing, and they play very, very hard and very disciplined.
Yeah, and to your point about not allowing teams to score many points, I was glancing over here at the schedule that they've played. They haven't allowed more than 16 points all season, and that was last week against Olentangy Liberty, the state champs, who are really finding their groove
Nine,
now after starting 0-3.
yeah, it was really 9 points because they threw a pick six late. So
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Yep,
so yeah, and
correct.
Liberty won that game. And they're improving obviously, and um, yeah, they didn't score offensive touchdown. So
Yeah, yeah. So to your point, outstanding defense with kids that believe and buy into it. And then I guess I know you're an offensive minded coach and whatnot, but when you look at what they've done offensively, I know they kind of struggled a little bit last week against Liberty, but they've done a tremendous job running the football, and then they pick their spots, as far as taking shots deep downfield. But they are a very good running team. When you look at what they do offensively, how do you match up?
Yeah, I mean, they're it's going to the season. I think this would be the game. A lot of people would circle. They have a lot back offensively. They have,
Yes.
Wolpert or number 9. I know he's really good. He's really good
Yep.
last year, and that's what goes through in the throw game. And then at Theato, the back runs the ball well, and their quarterback's he's an athlete. Like he's different than their guy last year. But and their offensive line, most of those guys are back. So that offense is very good, and it can be very dangerous. And we're fully aware of that, and we just it's same thing. It's just always comes down to it's just like anything in life. It's like take care of the ball. It's the simple things, right? Take care of the ball, tackle, block. Whoever does that better is probably going to win. So
Yeah, yep, and yes, indeed. Well, thanks, Coach, for hopping on this afternoon here, talking some football for 10 minutes. Man, it's going to be an outstanding game to watch. Like you said, I think this is one that preseason everyone circled, and it was certainly circled by me, and that's why I'm talking to you this week. So, thanks for hopping on, man, and best of luck this Friday against UA.
I appreciate you, Will.